Welcome to another week of Living a Rich Life. Once again, I am your host, Rich James. In today's Living a Rich Life recent events, I'm sure you all have been watching as they're going to impeach Trump. I normally don't talk politics, but it's coming to the end of the line for this guy, and he's the only president that is going to be impeached twice. If that's not crazy, I don't know what is. We saw the episode at the U.S. Capitol last week, and that's not a good look. That's not a good look, and I'll leave it at that. In other news, I believe James Harden is he's narrowed down his decisions when it comes to playing at a different team. I think it's the Nets. Not quite sure. I just got word it's official. He has been impeached twice. So what you gonna do? President Trump is out, which is should never got in, but that's my opinion. So let's keep it going. Here on Living a Rich Life, we like to inform, inspire, and remind each other to live a rich life through 6 principles. Okay, those principles are good health, strong relationships, financial freedom, goals and achievement, extraordinary experiences, and philanthropy. And I have a great guest here today that's going to help me do that. So with that being said, let's talk about it. This gentleman, our guest today, is on a mission pushing his art to change the world. He is the creator of Snaps and Laughs. Currently, you can see him on his YouTube, the channel. You can see him on YouTube, the channel, right? He is the orator of verbal memoirs, and we're going to talk about that. He has a unique style in all his own. It's just totally unique. I've seen this guy on several occasions. He inspired me, and I said, hey, I need to get that brother on the show. So without further ado, please welcome my guy, comedian Sir Alex. All right.
What's up, champ?
All right. So you must be playing a joke on us, Alex, because I can hear you, but I can't see you.
No, there it is. My bad.
There we go.
What's up, champ?
I ain't nothing much. So first and foremost, how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Well, I can't complain. I often like to say I'm better than amazing, which is how I'm feeling these days, especially with Trump on the outs.
Listen. I have no opinion about that.
Okay, well, keep it at that. We'll keep it at that.
I have no opinion.
I will say this. I'm looking
What's
forward I'm looking forward to the next show because I'm sure you'll have something on it. I'm almost certain of that.
You know what? I may say a little something then.
All right.
Hey, listen, I want to say this though, man. I want to say thanks for having me on. I appreciate this platform and what you're doing, man. I feel honored. I said, me?
Well, I appreciate that. So let's get into it. I like to bring folks on the show that I feel represent inspiration, right? I think your comedy is very inspirational. It's funny, and I'll say funny as hell. So it's only fitting and proper that I bring you on my show, Living a Rich Life. And I like to say, be exposed, because this is Be Exposed Radio.
That's right, man. I like I say, I love what you're doing, man. I love platforms like this that give artists and entrepreneurs a chance to really give the side that people don't see, and talk about a lot of the background stuff. That's cool.
Exactly. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, how did you get into comedy?
Um, I actually got into comedy by accident. Hanging with a friend of mine, we were like going on job interviews, you know, trying to find something to do with our lives. We both leave this same job interview. We sitting in the car. He kind of says to me like, "Yo, like, you know, I be writing poetry and stuff. Like, funny, bro. Like, you know what, yo, I be writing as well, you know, and I'm hilarious. You know, he like spit something, I spit something. You know, he's like, dang, bro, we both like got potential type shit, you know? So he's like, bro, like we could really try to do it. And when he like said it, it reminded me like, damn, like, you know, when I was a kid, I used to say that a lot, you know, like watching like Eddie Murphy and watching like Steve Harden them back day, always to say like, yo, I really want to do stand up, yo, I want to do comedy. But, you know, people try to tell you to do things that's quote unquote more realistic, you know, and so like you could hear the stories, like that's what I found myself doing. Like I swear to God, like I was leaving a job interview when I made the decision, like, yo, I want to do comedy.
Okay. Question for you. So you just felt always that's just what you wanted to do, or was it that moment you went to job interview and was like, hey, you know what, there's something better for me?
So it was really after the job interview. I think it was like that whole process of like, I don't know, like not having direction. And then in that moment when he says it, it's like, dang, bro, this is something that I used to say passionately. It just reminded me like, dang, bro, this is something that I really wanted to do. Like, let's try it out, you know, like let's see if we're good at it. You know, I'm like, I know I'm talented. And you know, lo and behold, here we are 7 years later. Uh,
Doing this
8 years later, 7 years, yeah, seven about.
and,
You know,
and
we're still building.
okay. And that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, so how long have you, you know, I know folks want to get some of these basic questions out the way. How long have you been doing comedy? So you said 7 to 8 years?
Yeah, about 7 or 8 years.
Okay. Now, how do you come up with your material?
Uh, Man, it's just real life. I like to talk about real life scenarios, real life things, you know, things I see, things I notice, you know, stuff that's happened to me, stuff that's happened to other people that I may have seen. You know what I mean? I'm a very topical comic, if that makes sense. You know,
Okay.
so I just talk about stuff that I observe and see, different topics, stuff like that.
Okay. So how has this whole pandemic and the COVID experience affected you in being a comedian? I know some places are not open like they used to be. How has this whole experience affected you?
Um, well, you know, much like myself and a bunch of the people who just said to themselves, like, yo, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. You know, I'm coming up through the ranks. You know, I believe that I'm talented enough to do this for a living, you know, 'cause I didn't, you know, and I don't punch a clock. I don't have like a 9 to 5 per se. You know, stand up is what I do like full time, you know. And so when the pandemic originally hit, everything is snatched, you know. And so if you think about it, like between, you know, bookings, people calling me, emailing me, reaching out and saying, hey, I want you to come here, perform for this amount of whatever. Or, you know, me curating my own shows or me selling merchandise or even, you know, some of the background work that I do to help book other shows or to like, you know, give advice and consulting work, like all of that just stop, you
Wow.
know, and it's like, you know, man, yo, I didn't get no stimulus check. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, it wasn't no unemployment for me. Like, you know, so like, I was very depressed. Like, I was moving furniture and shit I started doing whatever I could, you know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, I ain't gonna be broke.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was doing whatever, moving jobs, drive for Lyft, like I was doing whatever. You know what I'm
Makes sense.
saying? But you know, and so I just randomly had this idea. I'm like, well, it's crazy, man. I was already thinking that I wanted to do a show, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting at this guy's like spot. He's like, bro, like everything shut down. We could throw a show at my spot. I'm like, He's like, bro, no. He convinces me. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just do it. Start promoting the show. It's a secret location. You get the address when you buy a ticket. 2 ways, 40 people each ticket. I'm about almost sold out. The day before, he tells me like, we can't do it.
Oh.
This is in like April or May, maybe like May or something like that. Or maybe it's like May, yeah, like May or June. So I'm like it's crazy, you know. So now I got all these people money.
Right.
I done booked comics last minute. I done paid for a flyer to come out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did all this stuff. I had to find another venue. Luckily, so the like theme of the show was like a smoking show. It was like a 420 friendly event. So I had to find another venue, and the venue had to be 420 friendly.
Mm. Now,
I
what's
found a
420?
venue.
420 friendly?
Yeah, 420 friendly. Yeah, you know what that is.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So
This
so I found the venue within the 24 hours, moved the show. Instead of doing two different shows, I just contacted everybody, combined the shows, did one show, right?
okay.
Those guys, I don't ever get to talk like this. Naming names ain't for me. But those guys, after they saw, how we put it together, how we executed, they attempted to charge me 3 times more than I paid the first time, as well as cutting off two modalities that I used to get money during the event.
Mm.
So that left me like a little dead for a second. I'm like, dang, you feel me? Like I can't kick out all that money to not be able to make it back. Like it's like it ain't gonna work, you know?
Okay.
So then I'm like, all right, what do we do? Reach out to a friend of mine who manages a couple hookah lounges. Most of the hookah lounges are like in the county.
Right.
It's 2 hookah lounges that ain't closed the whole pandemic. I'm talking about they've been open every night till 3 a.m.
Wow.
Every night. Yeah, these niggas is crazy. If Corona is around, it's in there. I tell you that much right now. It's either it's in there or it's been in there. That nigga been in. But no. So long story short, reach out to my guy. We work a deal out, and so Rich, for about maybe 5 or 6 minutes, I'm gonna continue. We're gonna continue to have a discussion. However, so I have another last minute gig, so I need to change. So I'm gonna turn my camera off for about 5 or 6 minutes. We can keep talking.
Okay.
But so long story short, I link up with the guys at the hookah lounge. We start throwing one show every other week. Um, we do that for probably a month. The shows are selling out crazy, and it's like limited capacity, So I'm literally turning people away. I'm like, yo, like, like no more tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So we get it to a point. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do 2 shows to accommodate everybody, and so we can all be safe.
Yeah.
We start doing the 2 shows. That goes okay. That guy like he see how it's going on, and he hit me over the head again. Man, some more money, just that and the third involved.
So
I
let me
say,
ask, let me pause you for a second. So it sounds like COVID is, as we take this road here, like a lot of things was happening. And again, you don't always see what the insides and outsides, because I just recently, was at one of your shows, which was in terms of capacity, it was handled very well. It was COVID friendly. It was safe, and it was it looked like it was a really good time. So it seemed like COVID initially it started and hit you hard, and now maybe it's more in an upswing. Would you say?
Yeah, man. So not many people have things going on or platforms or videos. That are going on.
Gotcha.
Actual live shows, and so since I've found a way to be consistent, I think that's like was the moral of the story, that I've just continued to find a way to be consistent. Right. And that's paid off really, really well right now for me. Because I have a really, really consistent weekly show at an actual comedy club. So that's what's dope.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. We got a question from a viewer so we'll every so often we'll get viewers and they'll chime in. So one question, they say, how do you find your direction in life? But before we get to that, Sir Alex, would you define comedy as an art form?
Yes, comedy. Not only would I say it's an art form, I'll say that it's really one of the most difficult and one of the most tedious art forms. Mind you, I do spoken word poetry. Mind you, a lot of my family are musicians and different things to that nature. I'm always around art. But the art of comedy is incredible, man. I really love the art form of comedy.
Once you get your material, how do you practice your material? Is that something that you do? I don't know, look in the mirror. How do you practice your material?
I mean, the best practice is, in the game, and that game may not be where it really costs you, so we go to open mics, we go to different shows and do a guest spot work, and a very, very talented comic once told me that a joke is never really finished. No matter how long you've had a joke, you can always add something, or change a word around, or this, that, or the third, you know what I'm saying, to really make the joke stand out.
Okay. Who's some of your favorite comics? You mentioned that. Who's some of your favorite comedians?
Oh, man. So for me, it's definitely Dick Gregory, Dave Chappelle. Godfrey is hilarious. It's a guy named Smokey. There's a gentleman here in Baltimore, man, Larry Lancaster. Larry is hilarious.
And Larry was on my show. Larry actually was one of the first comedians ever on my show when we was actually at the Be Exposed radio station. We was actually, indoors. Larry's the very first comedian I had on the show, and he did point me in the direction of a couple of some local talents, like yourself as well. So that's something to point out.
Wow, yeah, man. Larry is like the OG, man. Larry is the OG.
Yeah. And then so someone said everyone is funny. Being on stage is something different. Would you agree with that?
Right. And so the being on stage is where it becomes the art form. Okay. Right. And so imagine this, right? Imagine you are a R&B singer, you create an album, you tour doing those songs, those albums, the same thing every night. That's fine. That's a song, right? Imagine you are a poet. You put a collection of poems together that you create a good following. You travel the country doing your poems. Cool. They love it. Comedy is different because now I've developed a set. I've developed a fan base. I got to go and say the same thing every time. I mean, I know where the laughs are, but I got to say the same thing every time and make it seem like it's the first time saying it. You understand what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
so people
yeah.
don't understand that. They just sit there and wait for it and enjoy it, And so oftentimes as comics are coming up, you may hear comics say the same joke once or twice. But like I say, they're working on that joke. They're building that joke so that one day they could put it inside of a special or, you know what I mean, could get it on to like a TV or a major platform, a Netflix or something like that.
I want to take a step. So again, folks watching and listening and tuning in, we are live here on Be Exposed Radio, living a rich life with your host, me, the one and only Rich James. We have Sir Alex, comedian. Sir Alex, let me ask you this question because, one, I know you're handling some business, and you're a little more laid back, right? I've seen you stand up, and I gotta say again, I did not stop laughing the whole time you were on stage, and that's just 100% real. No sugarcoating, no booty kissing, none of that. Okay, I'm telling you straight up, it was just hilarious. And you're a little more relaxed, and again, you're kind of handling some business. Do people expect you to be funny all the time?
Man, that really has become like my life's enigma. You know what I mean? Because it's like once you meet somebody that like they play basketball, you like, nigga, I could beat you. Check up. You know what I'm saying? So like when you meet somebody that's like a comic, it's always like, nigga, you not funny. Show me you funny. Or check out this joke. You should say this. Or tell me a joke right now. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, like, like this is an art form. You know what I mean? So it's always different.
Okay. How do you deal with hecklers?
Really, I've learned to try to avoid it becoming quote unquote a thing. So when it like starts, I really ask them, leave me alone. Leave me alone, bro. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to tell my jokes, because at that point I'm really letting you know, like I don't want no arguments with you. So that if I do have to roast you, it's like you brought that on yourself. Like I just asked you to leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? Like I just asked you to leave me alone four times in front of all of these people, and you ain't listen. So now they like, he said leave him alone.
Right.
All he wanted to do is tell his jokes. You ain't tell his jokes. So now he got to get you. I wanted to hear the jokes. I can't even hear. You know what I'm saying? So it's like getting the crowd on my side. That like, if I gotta go ahead and roast them, I need them with me. You know what I'm saying? Because they have to laugh. Because at the end of the day, my job is not to roast him. My job is to be funny. You know what I'm saying? And heckler is impeding me from doing my job.
Right. That makes sense. I never actually thought about that. That makes sense. I used to do some comedy back in the days, way back in the days, and decided I need to do something different, and worked in corporate America because at that point in time I was a lot younger. I'm not as young as I look. Were you ever considered the classroom joker?
Always, man, always.
So it was ultimately in your nature to be a comedian.
Yeah, man, it's like everybody who may not have seen me for a long time who comes across me, they're always like, bro, like, it makes sense. I always knew you could do that. You know what I mean? Like now that they see that I'm doing comedy, it's like, you know what, yo, that makes sense. Yo, you always was funny, And so that's cool. And so sometimes what I've learned is because, everything in a laughing manner, like you said, like you was just saying, like, yo, you so chill, but like, so like everybody ain't everything all the time, like a stripper ain't twerking 24/7,
It depends on what strippers you're talking about now. No. Question. What's the best thing about being a comedian? That came from one of our viewers.
Honestly, for me, man, I like the joy of being on stage, man. Being on stage, it really makes me happy and it brings me joy. It's like, seeing people laughing, having everybody laughing at the same thing, whether it's me talking about a problem or something I went through or whatever it is. It's like, yo, I know we all thinking about the same thing. We all laughing at the same thing. And we just in here and that's beautiful to me. Like that's my favorite thing.
Okay. Another question. I love the interaction between my guests that watch. They have some excellent questions. So
Of course,
we
bring them up.
sometimes veer away from what living a rich life want to talk about because again, at the end of the day, as you mentioned, it's about our guests watching and tuning in. We have one of our viewers says enigma. Great word. How does vocabulary tie into comedy?
A lot of different ways because sometimes just the same way in anything. Comedy is a conversation with the crowd, so ultimately, I'm talking to however many people are in the crowd. I'm talking to all of y'all at one time. The thing is, the only response I'm looking for from y'all is laughter. You understand what I'm saying? Unless
Right.
I'm specifically asking one person one thing, like, excuse me, ma'am, excuse me, sir. Like, if I'm not exactly talking to you, all I want you to do is let me talk to you, and what you find funny, laugh at.
Right. Now, I do want to shout out, right? So again, I recently attended one of your shows. Again, it was hilarious. You had you brought in a lot of funny comedians. There was one, I believe, Bruce Daddy. He was hosting.
Yeah, Bruce Daddy. Yeah,
Bruce
that's my
Daddy.
guy.
And when you talk about vocabulary, he said the word, and who uses the entire word? He said vibration. And he was talking about, telling folks some of the logistics of the show. So shouts out to Bruce Daddy. And again, I believe he spoke very highly of you, Sir Alex, in terms of comedy. And like I said, it goes back to the whole vocabulary piece. He said vibration. And I was laughing at that for a good minute because who uses that word? We usually say, put your phone on vibrator.
Right. And so things like that are funny because it shows a comic's wit. It shows that I chose to go deeper. I could have said head, but I said fellatio. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, who knows what that is? You know what I mean? And then there's, don't look confused, sir. I'll explain what it is. You understand what I'm saying? So it just opens up a door for so many things,
Absolutely. It goes back into the whole art form of things. We're rolling.
Right.
Good questions. Again, we have Sir Alex, comedian, been in the game for 7 to 8 years. Sir Alex, please tell them your social media handle so they can follow you on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those all platforms.
Sure thing. So I'm on Instagram at SIR_Alex R. That's ALEXR. I'm on Twitter at AlexSirR or AlexSir, I believe it is. I have a Sir Alex. I don't like to say fan page, but or just a support and like a business page on Facebook. I also have a personal page, so add me on my personal page, interact with me. I'm always on there. And that's Alex Robinson, spelled grammatically correct. If you can't spell Robinson, don't even follow me.
Okay. What's the best thing about being a comedian?
Man, being on stage, man, just the wielding. It's like so how you ever watch Star Wars?
Absolutely, I'm a Trekkie.
Okay, and so how they had Jedi's, and the Jedi's will wield the Force, and it's supposed to be in a proper manner.
Wait a minute? Did you say Star Trek or Star Wars?
I don't know. You know who I'm talking about, though. But it's basically like a comic having that force, and so just using that gift that God gave you, just being on stage is the best thing. It's one of my favorite things, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. What's the worst thing about being a comedian?
being broke, man. When that phone ain't ringing, and it's like, when you know you funny, and it's like, geez, man, I see these funny people doing their things, and these funny people doing their things, but my phone ain't ringing.
Mhm.
And it's like, man, I'm broke with this talent. What do I do?
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, is there anything that you just won't joke about, right? I mentioned earlier, here on Living a Rich Life, I generally steer away from politics. Again, focusing on things that will inspire folks, inform them, and just remind them to live that rich life, whatever that looks like to them. Is there anything that you just won't joke about?
Uh, Joke about? No, I'm probably gonna joke about everything. And so that doesn't mean that I'm gonna be like dogmatic about everything, or like, you know what I mean? Like I'm super like, like because there's like humor in everything,
Mm,
and my job as a comic is to find the humor in it. You know what I mean? Like if you think about it, bro, Eddie Murphy has a joke about his little brother putting a toy in his butt.
right, right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like ultimately, what is that joke about? What is he saying? You understand what I'm saying?
right,
But it's
right.
funny. He's talking about it. He's speaking his truth. What can you do? You know what I mean? And so I feel like that's comedy. And comedy isn't always wild. It's not always extreme. But I feel like a comic has a job to go out and get it. Like what's that far thing that people don't really talk about? Like what's that elephant inside the room? Like I feel like that's another beautiful thing. Being a true comic gives you the power to address the elephant in the room. And if it's funny, it's okay. But if you're just like, if there's no punchline attached to that shit, you just saying like you just an asshole.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the will of constructing a joke, and having the boldness to address things, that's what makes, a comic great. You know?
All right. Let's talk about snaps and laugh.
Oh man, sure.
Where did that concept come from? And and again, so let me ask you, because I normally ask folks where they're from. Where are you originally from, Sir
So
Alex?
I'm from I'm from Baltimore. I'm from East Baltimore. Then I moved out Randallstown for a long bit. Then from there, I moved to Las Vegas. Once I started coming there, I moved to Atlanta first. I moved to Atlanta when I first started comedy. Moved back to Baltimore. Moved to Vegas, and now I'm back here again.
Okay. So tell us about snaps and laugh. Tell us a little bit about what brought that on. What is it about? How'd you come
Um,
up with the name, etc.
sure. So like I was kind of saying, I do stand up comedy as well as spoken word poetry. So just me being one artist, wielding and working on and trying to learn two different crafts, building upon two different crafts and two different art forms. It's like I began to understand, like, yo, these two art forms can go good together.
Mm,
Why do I understand that? Because they go good together with me.
right.
Like you know me more as a comic because that's where you've always seen me at. But there are people who may have only seen me perform poetry. So they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the poet dude, or that's the guy that runs the poetry show. You understand what I'm saying? And so um I just began to understand and think about it, just develop like if you think about it, poetry is a really healing type of art form. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, comedy is also a healing type of art form because it's like I'm sharing my truth. I'm talking about my life, talking about what we all thinking, what we all going through. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta feel it. You know what I mean?
Right. It takes
So
some
it's
time to
like
just laugh. Yeah.
right, and so that that same thought is like, okay, boom, these are both healing art forms. And so just me understanding that, I said, you know what, I would love to have a space where they both can be displayed at the same time. And what's crazy is, so I told a couple of my quote unquote OGs, like, yo, we should do this, because I was helping them and under their wings and tutelage. And I didn't really have a show or anything to that nature. I'm just with them and just going to different open mics and things to that nature. So, like, yo, I got this idea that we should do something called Snaps and Laughs. Long story short, they like, nah, we're just gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do this. I got an opportunity to found me a little venue and I just tried it out. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago, man. And Snaps and Laughs is still running now, just as a monthly showcase only in Las Vegas. Speaking of the poetry though, we'll be doing some poetry and having some poetry showcases in Baltimore bi-weekly, starting next month. So you guys can look out for that. But we definitely, so in Baltimore, we just separated the snaps from the laughs. But for about 4 years, everything that we did was snaps and laughs format. It was the poetry as well as the
comedy. Question came through to your Star Trek, Star Wars. Are you more like Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader? In the comedy game, I guess, right?
I don't even know which one I would be because I don't know if I paid that much attention to them for real. I really got into it not too long ago after watching Mandalorian. So Mandalorian really made me interested. Like I seen about it, know about it, but I'm a Mandalorian fan. So,
so you have some catching up to do because that's like. At the end of the day, that's like episode between 6 and 8, I believe. I mean, so yeah, there's a whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm behind. I'm really behind.
What's your most memorable moment in your career so far?
So I got to work with the biggest entertainer of our time. And so that was really, really pertinent for me. Like it was because I got a chance to see. And so I was featured on Kevin Hart's Harder the City. And so, just seeing him and working with him for those couple of moments that I did, I saw how attention to detail he was. Even at 7 a.m., him being very vibrant and just there because he understood like this is the job, like we're at work and this is what we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? He wasn't big headed. He was like, all right, we are working together. Let's get this work done. Because ultimately, and it's like when I met Kev, he was filming 4 different things already, and they came and filmed. He filmed his episode, like his part of all of our episodes in one day. So I believe that stuff like that just speaks to his work ethic, and so me being able to see that and experience that firsthand, I think will probably be like one of the most pivotal parts, pivotal things in my career.
Understandably so. Again, like I said, folks sometimes don't see the hard work; they see the end product. They don't see all the the ins and outs that goes to like you said, even setting up a comedy show, being a part of a comedy show, being a part of a radio show, all the ins and outs. They just see the end product.
They don't see, and so and that's why again I want to give kudos to you, because anybody that consistently does anything deserves kudos, man. Because people quit every day.
I appreciate that. I gotta tell you, I like to give a shout out to my team because I can't do this alone. It goes with having a good team, right?
I was about to say that's the best segue you could have ever made, man. Because a lot of people believe that they are solo acts, You know, that magic that you just experienced a week or so ago at the show wasn't a result of just me. You know, because of how long I've been curating shows, I just understand from, from the patrons' perspective and from the comics perspective. So, hey, I have someone to seek you. You're not just lost when you walk in. Like, I don't know if you sniffed hard enough, but I bring my own air freshener in there and spray that for everybody to come in there. My DJ brings more than enough speakers where you can't not hear us. You know what I mean? It's just all of the amenities that you would look for as a patron. It's not just me. There's a very hospitable young lady at the door. And if it was somebody at the door taking your money with an attitude, you like, I ain't spending my money there because the girl at the door got an attitude. You know what I mean? And so everything must be pleasant. And so it just speaks to, like you said, man, everybody needs a team. And so that's something that, like, I had to learn also, man, as just a business owner and as a person, really.
Right. And oddly enough, so hopefully you don't mind, because she was also, I spoke to you directly when I came in, which I appreciate that. It's nothing like, the folks that you work with or you engage with. I'm a big component of that. I actually had my first event in November, and I greeted all my guests at the door. I mean, each and every guest. And again, it was COVID friendly, about 40 people, but I literally met each one at the door, and I appreciate you meeting me at the door. That's what's up. Question for you comes through. What's the best type of audience? And that's coming through on the chat. What's the best type of audience that you like to perform in front of?
Just people who ready to laugh. Because I don't think I've done comedy in some pretty left field environments. And I've just learned if people, if they're ready to laugh and they want to laugh, and these, and the jokes are hitting right, it's going to be a good time. I've done shows in people's basements on a birthday party tip. They book. And so I want to shout out, some of the OG comics who who brought me with them. As they were booked, they trusted my ability to say, okay, here, come and feature for me. This is a private gig I have, but I want you to come over, pay you, come over, go do this. And so I really appreciate stuff like that. Comedian Stiletto takes me on a lot of her gigs with her, and I appreciate her for that. Comedian Maria Sanchez takes me on a lot of her gigs. Cleon, the comedian, takes me on a lot of his gigs. So appreciate that, man. I performed at some, I performed at some crazy places, man. I know one of the things we'll talk about is Little Laughs. And so Little Laughs sat me in some pretty crazy places. Well, not crazy because everybody needs, the joy of laughter, but just maybe unconventional. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Okay. I've done comedy in some pretty unconventional spaces.
Right.
So, I don't have a particular group of people. I have groups of people that I don't like. I don't like. I got a couple groups of people I don't like. And so, those people are the people who want to be those attention seekers. I'm really loud, and I'm coming in late, and I'm talking back. Like those people, because they didn't come for comedy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the people that come for the comedy and that really want to listen and have a good show, I love those people. And I don't care what you are. I don't care if you got one leg, no legs, white, black. I fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have a preference.
Makes sense. It all makes sense. A few more things here before we wrap up here. What are your feelings about the industry in general in terms of comedy? What's your feelings about the comedy industry as it is right now? Excuse me, because we lost before you get it, but we lost a lot of, we lost a lot of comedians, recently, folks that, just phenomenal comedians. So what's your feelings about the industry as it is right now, comedy?
Funny that you use the word fearless, man. I just embraced the lesson further. Something that we all know, like, ain't no money in your feelings. And so, feelings and business don't really mix. My job is to look at the game, analyze the game, find out where I fit in, and do that really, really well. To speak to, like you said, some really, really awesome, legendary comics, no longer being here with us. Like I said, just kind of go back to understanding, like when one person retired, it makes space for another great. And the next great ain't worried about who retired and who doing what. They focus on trying to be great.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And so, just understanding that, like, and that's with no malice towards anybody. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, ultimately, like you say, man, the game is the game. We can't hate can't hate the player. You're supposed to hate the game.
Absolutely.
You feel me? We all playing the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you could say anything to those that are interested or trying to get into comedy, what advice would you give those individuals trying to get into comedy?
Stay on stage.
Yeah.
Just stay on stage. And I'm still a pup in the game, technically, but I got everything I got standing on stage. Any stage it is. Just don't rush for that money. Get funny. Definitely don't be pimped and learn business and learn all of those things. Definitely learn the business. It's very pertinent. But be funny. Stay on stage, man.
Sweet. Well, I want to say, Sir Alex, I want to thank you for spending your time with us. I think that's a good way to close out. For those willing and ready to get into comedy, you hear it first and foremost here at Be Exposed Radio, here on Living a Rich Life. Stay on stage, stay focused, keep your grind on. So I want to thank you for sharing your story. And I believe you inspired some folks that are watching.
Hopefully so, man. Listen, I love you. I love everybody listening, everybody watching. Hopefully we can chop it up again. Any Sunday y'all free, pull up on me at Sunday's Comedy, at Sully's Comedy Cellar. That's 9306 Harford Road. You know what I mean? Bring your mask to have some laughs with me.
Nice. Well, we definitely you'll definitely see more of me and my team to come check you out, because again, we just pump. We love you and we enjoy it. So just stick around, because we're going to close it out. What I like to call is Living a Rich Life. Our closing remarks. So once again, I do want to say shouts out to Morgan Colbert. She was unable to make it today. She was feeling sick. She is the CEO of Plus Fashions. It is a Black-owned boutique, young
big shout out.
Up and coming young CEO, and she has some fabulous stuff. Plush is Plus Fashions, and you can find her on Instagram at Plush Fashions. So with that being said, I like to close out with a famous Rich James quote. Life is about experiences. Believe and focus on what you want out of life, and then become it. Whatever you want in life, you first have to be it. So keep that in mind. Continue to be inspired. Continue to live a rich life. Once again, this is Living a Rich Life with Rich James here on Be Exposed Radio. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. For those that sent questions to Sir Alex, thank you for engaging with him. Funny brother. Until next time, take care. See you again.